Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Omaha for you. There's Norm Scott under that, guys. We're going to be taking a look at how to deal with each class of ship when you find yourself in a close quarters encounter with them, particularly as a cruiser here. Now that answer to the question will depend largely on if you have torpedoes at least versus one of the classes. We'll talk about that here as the game develops. But here we got an estuary domination mode game. We are in the mid. Which I do like to play here. We got both destroyers here. Not really sure what they're going to do since they are division. They're kind of a wild card. I am looking at the carrier, though, on the A line, thinking, okay, he's probably going to send planes down south. So we're going to consider that to be likely, that side to be receiving somewhat reliable spotting. At least that's the hope here. I think the destroyers are actually going to deploy towards D. That's fine. They can do their thing over here. We're going to try and play on one side of this mid or the other, though. We want to be able to utilize this island cover if people start shooting at us, and we don't really want the entire board to be able to shoot at us. So by playing kind of towards A here, we're going to move about a square to the southwest. That kind of eliminates a lot of the guys' ability on D to shoot into us. At least that's the idea. So we're going to be setting up here, and first up we're going to be kind of fighting a cruiser. Now, if we're getting close range with these cruisers, generally in cruiser v cruiser fights, we're going to be looking for opportunities to hit them with AP. That, of course, we're looking for more or less flat broadsides to do so. Whenever that's not the case, then we're going to probably want to switch to HE, keeping an eye on the shell performance. So first the Emily and the Furutaka pull up here, and it looks like they're pulling into A pretty aggressively, so I'm thinking if I move a little bit south here, we can potentially catch them. Now, long range, especially with these Omaha guns, the AP is really not going to do that much. We can certainly test it out, but the penetration drops off at range there. So prepare to, even if they're broadside, be shooting HE over there after, of course, determining what our results are going to be. Also got an eye on the Königsberg coming up here. Now, the Königsberg, much more dangerous. Emily's got its fans. I think it's a fine ship, but the Königsberg, in my mind, is kind of the king of the tier 4 cruisers, rather. So if he's coming around here, we're going to look for an opportunity to spot him. There he is. In fact, so we're going to start to post up here, and looking on the map, looks like he's coming around at a 90-degree angle for us. Perfect. We're about 10 kilometers away, and we should be able to get some juicy damage under this. But detected ribbon pops up. Wakeful. Oh boy. Well, this is going to change things here. The destroyer is obviously close range. He's trying to torp us, no doubt. So we do get one shot over there, at least attempt to hit him, and then we're kind of turning here, trying to dodge these torps. They're single-fired torps, and he stacked them all in a line, so they're relatively easy to dodge as long as we're paying attention to things here. And Königsberg is pulling around here. Now, he is coming in, you can see on the map there, he's angled up at about 45 degrees or so. Much better for him in terms of defense, but he's putting himself into a crossfire position as well. Look at the separation between me and the guys to the west, 1 to 2 squares, and he's pushing kind of in between both of us. That means if we have a little bit of patience here, we should expect to see some sort of broadside. And as we disengage, or at least in his mind we've disengaged, he does angle towards the north. Perfect. Now we're going to move in here with the AP, ready to strike, and he's in trouble. He's in serious trouble here. This is going to be a quick work of the Königsberg if he doesn't respond, but there's not a lot he can really do because he's moved this far forward here. Either if he angles towards me, then the guys to the north, assuming they're not blocked by the islands, they could do the same thing that we're doing to him. So down goes the Königsberg. Luckily, Wakeful, okay. I'm not sure what a Wakeful's torpedo reload is, but usually the low-tier destroyers reload pretty quickly. So now we're just expecting that the torpedoes are coming here. Backing up initially, then we gun it, okay? Because what we're doing is we're assuming these guys, the destroyers, especially if we're not seeing gunshots emanating from them as quickly as we'd expect to. But you gotta always assume these destroyers are coming in for the attack. So we angle towards the source of these torpedoes, which is basically where his position's been over the last 10-15 seconds. And look at that. Dodged the torps. Suicide rush. Well, he got the suicide part down, but he didn't get any gain out of that trade. So, unfortunate for them. The red team, their destroyer goes down basically for no purpose. Okay, so the key to fighting these destroyers, we're going to try and deal with the torpedoes. That means angling at them. Even if he hits us with those, if those torps are lined up, we're probably going to dodge the majority of them, especially on destroyers that aren't single fired like that. If we eat one, okay, fine. but as long as we're pointed towards the source of the torps, we're largely protected. Now, Nikolai 1 coming in hot here. We do have 2 sets of torpedo launchers. This is kind of the mistake play that a lot of cruisers make. Now, we can torpedo these battleships like this because we have the island cover, okay? He's forced to come basically very close to us. And cruisers, when we're trying to torpedo battleships, kind of in a defensive manner like this, we want to do it as close range as possible, okay? But you see a lot of less experienced cruiser players just kind of trying to rush battleships in the open. And this guy, he's shooting HE here. If he's got the proper shell loaded, we're already dead. Okay, so that's not a play I'm trying to make. It was an acceptable play to make in this case because we're up substantially in ships and we have the cap advantage. So even if I die in this particular instance, it's probably not going to cost the team the game. But I'm not normally trying to get close to the battleships. Cruisers, you want to stay the heck away from the battleships. All right, but if you have tight firing angles like this, you got them on the German cruisers typically. A lot of the Americans, at least the lower tier ones, the higher tier American cruisers generally don't have torpedoes. Perhaps the French, the British, some of these that can fire, more or less towards the front of the ship, steeply angled like that, you can get away with those defensive torpedo plays. Something like Megami or a Japanese cruiser where they fire rearward. In that case, we're never going to be rushing battleships, or very, very rarely, would that be the proper play, because we're going to have to expose the full broadside of the ship to even get the torpedoes on target. So, defensively, that's when we're going to be trying to use these torpedoes. Typically, if we're further back and we want to get the torpedoes in play, we can, of course, keep throwing them into the water and just kind of using them as a zoning torp is what we refer to them as, where we're just kind of muddying the waters, making it dangerous, certain sections of the map for the enemy ships to exist in. But in terms of targeted strikes like that, close quarters only. Generally, when we're fighting battleships, we don't want to be close quarters to them, because that's when the advantage leans heavily in their favor. Their actually goes way up. The closer they get, their guns can smash right through us typically, and usually you're not going to last very long. So, that's kind of a quick way we kind of dominated that side, or we assisted the A side, and then the guys that spawned through the middle, they eventually came through, and we just kind of defended our position pretty well there. So now we're moving in here, trying to get some bonus damage on the Russian cruiser here. Capturing the base, a nice touch as well, and since we're kind of sailing towards the carrier down there, we kind of have the opportunity to sail through the entirety of the cap. So, number 1, capturing the base, good strong play in terms of winning the game. Number 2, good opportunity to get a few hundred extra XP and some bonus credits and all that stuff. So don't neglect to get those caps. Basically, one of the ways to think about domination mode is you're going to try and do what you can do to help prevent your team from accidentally screwing it up. Now, in this case, we're up 5 ships or whatever. The carrier can't physically kill us quick enough to outpace the scoring that we got by having previously 3 caps controlled, and now the 4th after we got that one. There's no way our team can bung this up here. But a lot of times, when you're in closer games, if you're thinking to yourself, okay, I got 2 options. I can go sail through the cap and try and attack whatever ship I'm pursuing, or I get the cap first and then attack that ship, pursue that ship. It's almost always going to be better to get the cap, so don't forget about that. Now we're finally in range here, though. A lot of times I don't play the Omaha a lot just because I got the Marblehead, which is more or less the same ship. Key difference between the Omaha and the Marblehead, though, Marblehead's torps much longer, much more slow and ponderous in the water. Omaha is a little bit closer range, which again suggests that they're more defensive in nature. You can kind of view the torpedo launch distance or maximum distance as kind of an indication, are these more offensive torps or more defensive? The closer the range they are to you, the less you're able to deliberately get them in position to be used offensively. So that's a look at the Omaha for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see you later. Peace.